Today we are recapping the Theology of Hip Hop Lauryn Hill episode. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to the episode yet, you still have time. So pause this and go listen to it now. I love this episode. I think you had a lot of fun making the episode.
I did. It was fun to make.
And the one question we always start with is, who was the person who introduced the episode and why did you choose them?
Yeah, so for this episode, we heard from the good sister Brittany George. And I think because Lauryn Hill is so formative to her love for hip hop, as she talked about a bit on the episode, it was important for me to get someone who just truly appreciates Lauryn, because I think Lauryn Hill's fans are so devoted to her that I wanted to be able to capture that energy in the episode. I think Brittany really embodies that energy toward Lauryn.
Yes. So it's just such a good introduction. I think we all, not, I won't say we all, but I think a lot of us are familiar with Lauryn Hill's body of work, and the abrupt kind of end to that work, and debating whether or not, or the reasons for why she did it. But I think this episode is a beautiful articulation of one's deconstruction of religion. Like you talk about how when she was in the Fugees, the different meanings of faith that she was coming across. So I wonder if this artist is if this artist compared to the other artists that we talked about or other artists that you're thinking about, who seems to do more deconstruction lyrically on their songs with their religion?
Yeah, I think thus far, Lauryn would be at the top of the list. I think they all ask really important questions, very big questions, questions that are essential. I think Lauryn, and in the song off of the Fugees album where she's saying like, "How shall I address you?" Like I'm trying to figure out my own theology, being raised as a Baptist, but I'm trying to understand exactly like what's the best way to address you and how do I reconcile my understanding of who God is based on how people of faith, particularly in Lauryn's case, Christians have treated me. Yeah, I think that she does a fantastic job of just asking the big questions, and I think that's so instructive for all of us because a lot of people who grew up within faith traditions are taught to not ask big questions. They're taught that asking big questions is a sign of a lack of faith or low maturity. But I think, if anything, God, number one, is big enough to handle your questions, big enough to handle your frustrations and, you know, the pain that happens in life. If you ask, like, God, why did this happen? I don't think that's a sign of a lack of faith. As someone who reads the Psalms regularly, I think that tradition of lament is a part of a healthy faith journey. But there's just so many faith traditions and subcultures in the faith world that make you feel like you're doing something bad if you're asking big questions.
That's great. I feel like she and DMX do a good job of being as you call it vulnerable about their questions of the faith, and with a certain normalization that this should be a conversation with God. It shouldn't be something. It's okay to not just to pretend that you have it all to not to pre- it's not okay to pretend you have it all together.
Yeah, that's not
God
faithful.
wants you to come to God's self,
100%.
um, with your full self, because
Right.
God knows regardless.
100%.
Um, and one question that came to me as I was listening to this episode is, and this could be a whole podcast, but I, going back and reviewing her work, I was struck by how many songs talked about her wrestling with faith
Right.
and the importance of a moral path,
Yes.
like in life.
Yeah.
And it made me think, why hasn't she been considered to be a Christian rap or a rap artist of faith, compared to the folks who from the jump put themselves in that genre? Um, is there an issue? People have had issue with the genre of Christian rap artist, Christian hip hop artist.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. So what does it take? First, what do you think about the genre?
Oh, man.
And what does it take to put oneself in that genre?
Well, I think, like you said, this is a huge question that could be just like, a whole season of theology, hip hop in and of itself. But number one, I'll say that the club of Christian hip hop kicks people out regularly. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think about people who identify as Christian rappers who fans of that genre, of that subgenre, consistently point at as not Christian enough.
Mhm.
Right? So people who are, you know, frequenting the like youth ministry circuit and like that's how they identify themselves as a
Mhm.
Christian rapper. People are still like, you don't mention Jesus enough. Like it has to be so explicit,
Yeah.
right? Like your raps have to also serve as like a Sunday school lesson,
Mhm.
like or something for like a youth camp.
Like the Flame.
Right.
Flame would be an example to me of an artist that's not just to entertain or be like an alternative to another type of music that you listen to.
No.
Flame is
He's giving you continuing education.
yes,
Like each album is, should come with CEUs because that brother is like using the textbook,
such deep theology.
just deep theology all throughout. He's wrestling with it.
Mhm.
Like I appreciate the work that he does, but I think that just for the simple fact that like Lauryn uses profanity in her
Yeah.
music, right? Like in the same way that like I've argued about like DMX
Right.
being a Christian rapper. I know that there are people who disagree with that, right?
Right.
Just because of the use of profanity, but I think that um in my estimation, Lauren would check a lot of boxes, but just knowing how the culture of that subgenre is so much more ready to kick folks out than to embrace folks. It's weird. It's like they want to embrace like if their favorite athlete wears like John 3:16 on their shoe or something like that. They're excited about that. Or for like a movie star seems to like, be embracing faith.
Mhm.
But they're actual artists who are doing the work of, feeding them through music, they just have the highest scrutiny for, and there's not a lot of grace involved. So that, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But at the same time, in short, by my metric, Lauren would qualify. By the metric that's often used in that subgenre,
Probably
absolutely
not.
not. Yeah.
One of the things that I really respect about Lauren is her ability to draw boundaries and say, "Hey, this is my work.
Yeah.
I am not necessarily. I love to perform, and that's why I do this. And your pressure to make me conform, to make me arrive on time,
Oh,
is just
God.
I'm not something to be consumed. I'm a human being, a person with
Yeah.
feelings, and maybe you all should reconsider who you what you're consuming and what you expect of them."
Yeah.
I really respect that, and it's a countercultural, especially now everybody is trying to do, like, content creation
Hmm.
and the pressures that can come with being creative. Um, like, I think of the 2 comedians that kinda just disappeared, due to
Sure.
the pressures
Sure.
of coming up with something new, 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 new,
Every day. Right.
um, and making people a commodity.
Hmm.
So, that's one thing that I really respect about her is her ability to say like, "Hey, I am a person first. I
Yeah.
am a child of God. Do not treat me like I am a Pepsi
Right.
or a new you gotta put out a new flavor of Mountain Dew
Yeah.
every 2 seconds
Hmm.
because you're trying to, um you want something new of me. I have to go through a creative process.
Right.
I can't, just succumb or submit to whatever the people want of me
Mhm.
because I'm a vessel.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the line that she has in that song "Nobody" where she says, "I'm saving souls and they complain about my lateness,"
Mhm.
right? Because it's gotten to the point where if someone posts an angry thing on social media about like, "Oh, Lauryn Hill's concert didn't start for 3 hours," people are like, "Yeah, that's like this is what
Right.
you signed up for."
Right.
But I think to that same degree, she's someone who is just so clearly just committed to being who she is, and I don't think that her artistry is something that she is willing to compromise, and her humanness is something she's willing to compromise for the sake of, like, the music business, and I think that it can be very frustrating, no doubt, but at the same time, she's just not willing to give those things up.
Right. I really respect. What do you as an artist feel like? How do you feel in that regard? Have you felt a certain way to produce something new, or how do you feel about
Oh,
that?
man, I think
Or is it just like, when I'm inspired, here is here's the work that God has given me.
well, I'm of 2 schools of thought, like, 1, I think that I cannot just create when I feel inspired. Because if I do that, then I'm not gonna create enough, even
Right.
just by my own metric, not even thinking about by, any sort of audience's metric.
Mhm.
If I only am producing when I feel inspired, that's not gonna be enough. You gotta have some sort of rhythm, some sort of discipline. And then the second thing I would say is that there's something to be said about understanding your responsibility as an artist
Mhm.
and understanding that, there are people who are looking to you to make sense of the times, make sense of the moment. And so doing that work of wrestling,
Mhm.
doing that work of just trying to process and not being so obsessed with getting something out,
Right.
but just doing the work and understand that by doing the work, we get blessed and we get amazed by like, oh, I think this is ready to share. But I can only be in that position to share something if I've been doing the work regularly.
Yeah.
It's a whole like um stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah. I agree with that. Moving on to her unplugged album, which is a beautiful. I remember sitting
Hmm.
in my room,
Yeah.
I think as like a preteen or early teenager,
Hmm.
watching that her special on
Yeah.
um and just being like, man, it's a really long song, one.
Yes.
And then two, like she's so raw and just vulnerable, but
Hmm.
something so pure and
Hmm.
honest that was not the bubblegum pop stars of that time
No.
or the boy band groups, but something that for her to be able to show that transformation live or live album, I think was really beautiful and it made me
Hmm.
think of other live albums in which someone the essence of their person
Yeah.
was shown better online than an actual pre-recorded album.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think do you know of any other live albums where you're like, "Man, I really enjoyed this person as an artist, not just because of their music, but because of their person."
Yeah, I think, the 2 that come to mind for me is, like, one of the first, like, reggae CDs I owned was, like, a Jimmy Cliff Live.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me, and then I also think about, this is like a concert album, but, like, Earth, Wind& and Fire in Japan. I
Mhm.
just thought it was incredible like, a kid at my uncle's house watching that, and listening to it. But I also think in that same space of, like, Unplugged, Jay-Z's Unplugged album, because I think he understood this sort of responsibility. Like Lauren's a rapper too, but she wasn't really rapping on that as much. She just was like showing you,
Right.
like reducing Lauren to a rapper is like too small of a box. Lauren is just an artist, point
Mhm.
blank, period, right? And I think there are other people who that fit it, who fit in that category as well. But I think Jay is one of those rappers who understands as an artist that he has to push the culture forward and take the culture of hip hop into spaces that are usually looking at it like, you can't be here like Glastonbury or something like that. But I think Lauren's work, number one, I felt too immature at the time as like, 13, 14-year-old, whatever I was at that time. to fully appreciate it. I just like, man, she cried a lot. But I think now looking back at it, it's just something that's just such a beautiful display of an artist working on their craft in real time.
Mhm. Yep. What do you think folks who Lauryn Hill
Hmm.
and the folks that we've talked about before,
Yeah.
what do you think their personal theology has to say about vulnerability?
Yeah.
Because it's been a common theme.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think their personal theology
I,
and what God has to say about being vulnerable?
I think the through line is that vulnerability is connected to realness, and keeping it real is an important tenet of hip hop. Like, you can't do this well if you're pretending to be somebody else, right? Like, if you're just acting like, I'm if I were just telling someone else's story, like, obviously there's moments where rappers are rapping from a variety of different perspectives, but even within that, they're doing that to help paint the whole picture of what their reality is, right? So
Right.
I may rap from the perspective of the school teacher who didn't believe in me, but that school teacher was a part of my reality. I'm not rapping, like, it would be frowned upon to rap from the perspective of someone who's like, the neighborhood drug dealer and you never sold drugs a day in your life. Or like, that would be like, why are you pretending to be something for like street cred? I think that the whole importance of authenticity lends itself to being vulnerable, because nobody is like the big bad whatever all the time.
No.
All of us contain multitudes. And I think that there's such a strength found in expressing that kind of vulnerability, and a strength found in displaying that sort of realness that is both attractive to people, but also healing for people.
Right. I think the scripture that says, in my weakness, gosh,
Yeah,
I'm
your
really tired.
strength,
Your
your strength
strength
is
is made
found is made perfect in
perfect
my
in my
weakness. Yep.
weakness. Um, and I just think about that whenever I hear these people who have been given huge platforms, lots of followers, whether before or after social media.
Hmm.
A lot of people who like look up to them and worship them, literally worship
Literally
them,
worship, right?
saying, "Hey, I'm weak and I can't do any of this. I have questions," and then, you know, then making room for God to do what God needs to do.
Hmm.
So, what do you think is the legacy of Lauryn Hill? What do you think folks like Gen Z, Gen Alpha
Yeah.
can learn from her music if they're first listening today?
For number one, I think the music is timeless, right? So I don't think it's inaccessible for the generations to come, right? Like Gen Z's listened to her already. I've dealt with Gen Alpha kids. I played Lost Ones for them, and they loved it. And so I know that there's a timelessness to it, but I think her overall story inspires me in that she's one of the few, and maybe I'm being dramatic when I say this, but I think a lot of icons in a variety of different fields hold on for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to look at, like, for example, Biggie, we're like, man, I wish we could have got more music, right? Because his life was cut short. There was no signs that he wasn't going to make at least a couple more albums. Like, I'm not saying he would have made like 15 albums, but like maybe a couple more, right? But Lauren, there was always that yearning for her to make more music, and she wasn't incarcerated like Shine was, right? It's not incarcerated like Vibes Cartel was.
No.
Like, she just was like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, the music industry is poisonous.
Yeah.
I'm not going to subject myself to this. And we can be frustrated as consumers. You see people do that where they're like looking at Beyonce just gave you an album, you're looking for another one. Rihanna's like raising her kids, like, put out another album, put that baby down, put out an album. Like, Lauryn Hill, as I said in the episode, is not a tragic story.
No.
And this is someone who made decisions and operated on their own terms. And if that meant that we didn't get as much music as we wanted, I think we have to ask ourselves, what's enough?
Yeah.
right? As consumers, when are we going to be sober minded about the exploitation that we play a part in,
Mhm.
right? Is it worth it for someone to, in spite of their convictions, keep going in an industry that leaves so many of our favorite artists dead way before their time? Is that worth it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah. This is a moving episode, like I said
Yeah.
before. If you haven't listened to it, please do. It is one of my favorites of the series so far.
Cool.
Um, and just great going down memory lane, listening to all the albums and then wrestling with my faith and um listening to her wrestle with her faith. So
Yeah.
it's it's a good meaty work.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you give us a hint, like you do every week,
Yeah.
to the artist that's coming next week?
Yeah. The artist coming next week, one of the greatest MCs rapping today. Um, Definitely in the conversation for one of the greatest MCs to come out of North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. No wonder. What do y'all think? Leave in the comments below what you think. Once again, I'm Brianna. This is Chris. He does an awesome podcast called The Theology of Hip Hop. We just did a recap of his Lauryn Hill episode. And we can't wait to hear what you think of this episode and all the other episodes that we have. And how many more episodes did we got?
We have 3 more
3 episodes
episodes.
left.
Yeah, 3.
So if you haven't caught up, like I said, you could catch up and then walk through us every week. We're anxious to be in conversation with you,
Mhm.
and want to hear what you have to say. Um, have a good evening. Keep listening.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for real. Thank you. Peace.